I found the ring by accident. It was a Thursday. A nothing Thursday. I was at Leo's apartment, putting away his laundry because he never folds anything, just lives out of the basket. My fingers brushed against the back of the sock drawer, against something that wasn't fabric. It was small, velvet. My breath just stopped. I didn't pull it out. Not at first. I just stood there in his bedroom, in the Los Angeles afternoon light slicing through the blinds, and felt the world tilt. I lifted the box. It was dark blue, worn soft at the corners. The hinge made no sound when I opened it. Inside, nestled in white satin, was a solitaire diamond. It was perfect. Not flashy, not trendy. It was the kind of ring you see and you just know. Someone dreamed about it. Someone planned. And my hands started to shake. Not from excitement. This was a colder, quieter tremor. It was the tremor of a truth you recognize in your bones before your mind can catch up. This ring wasn't for me. We'd been together for 2 years. 2 years in this city of dreams and facades. I knew his routines. Knew he needed 2 cups of coffee before he was human. Knew he always ordered extra garlic sauce with the lamb kebabs from that place on Sunset. Knew the way he sighed in his sleep when he was stressed about work. I knew his friends, his Netflix password, the story behind the scar on his knee. I thought I knew his heart. But this small, perfect thing in my palm was a language I didn't speak, a future I wasn't in. The apartment felt suddenly too quiet. The distant hum of the 101 freeway seemed to grow louder, a constant reminder that in LA, everything and everyone is just passing through. I was living a life that looked complete from the outside. A shared shelf in the bathroom, a toothbrush that wasn't going anywhere, a key on my ring that said I belonged here. It was all a beautiful, convincing pause. I closed the box. The click was final. I placed it back exactly where I found it, tucked behind the black dress socks he only wore to funerals. Then I walked to the living room and sat on the couch we'd picked out together. I waited. He came home an hour later, his messenger bag slung over one shoulder, a smile already forming when he saw me. "Hey, you're still here." "Leo?" I said. My voice was calm, too calm. "I found something in your sock drawer." His smile didn't fall. It just froze. Then it faded, slowly, like a light dimming from within. He didn't look shocked. He didn't look guilty. He just looked seen. He set his bag down carefully. He didn't ask what it was. He didn't lie. He just went quiet. That silence. It filled the whole room. It was heavier than any confession, any argument. It was an answer, the only answer I needed. I stood up. My legs felt steady, which surprised me. "Okay," I said softly. He finally found his voice. "Clara, it's not..." I held up a hand. I couldn't hear the explanation. Whatever it was, an old ring, a new ring, a mistake, a plan, it didn't matter. The truth was in the velvet box. The truth was in his silence. "I'm going to go," I said. I walked to the door. I didn't take the key off my ring. I just left it in the lock from the inside as I closed the door behind me. The sound of the latch catching was the quietest, most devastating sound I had ever heard. I didn't cry. Not then. I drove down Laurel Canyon, the city lights beginning to flicker below like a bed of fallen stars. The realization settled over me, not as a sharp pain, but as a deep, chilling ache. He never betrayed me. Not in the way you think. There was no other woman, at least not one I knew about. This was something else. This was the quiet truth that cuts deeper than any lie. I was the present tense, a beautiful, comfortable, loving present, but I was never the future, and that changes everything. I drove for hours, not crying, not thinking, just moving. My car became a capsule, hurtling through the neon veins of the city. I passed the taco stand where we had our first date, the theater where we saw that terrible indie film and laughed through the whole thing. Every landmark was a ghost, a memory of a life that was real to me, but to him, just an intermission. I ended up at the beach in Santa Monica, the one we'd go to in the winter when the tourists were gone. The pier glittered in the distance, a stupid, cheerful birthday cake against the dark ocean. I sat on the cold sand and let the numbness wear off. And then it hit me. It wasn't anger. It was grief for a future I'd painted in my head, in delicate, detailed strokes. The apartment we'd buy, the dog we'd argue over naming, the way he'd look, holding a child of ours. I had to let that imaginary future die, right there on the sand, with the Pacific wind trying to steal my breath. I didn't go back for my things. I texted my best friend, Maya. 3 words. I need you. She showed up at my doorstep 40 minutes later with a bottle of tequila and a determined look. She didn't ask for the story. She just held me while I finally, violently shattered. A week passed. Leo called once. I let it go to voicemail. He didn't leave one. That silence was his final sentence. Our story was over, and its last punctuation mark wasn't a period, but an ellipsis, trailing off into nothing. The hard part wasn't the leaving, it was the rebuilding. I had to learn a new city, the same Los Angeles, but without him as my compass. My favorite coffee shop felt tainted. I found a new one. I played music he hated, loud, in my new apartment. I left my socks on the floor because there was no one there to care. One rainy Tuesday, months later, I was cleaning out my wallet, old receipts, a faded fortune cookie paper, and I found it, the small square sticker from a parking garage. It was from months before, from the night we'd gone to see a band at the Hollywood Bowl. He'd paid, and he'd stuck the validation sticker on my phone case. I'd absent-mindedly transferred it to my wallet later. I stared at that stupid sticker, and for the first time, I didn't feel the ache. I felt a quiet curiosity. Who was he saving that perfect ring for? Was she out there? Did she have no idea I existed? Or was she a dream he hadn't met yet? I realized I would never know. And slowly, I understood that not knowing was a kind of freedom. His silence wasn't just a rejection of me. It was a confession about him. He was a man who could plan a future with one hand while holding my hand with the other. He lived in a split reality, and I wanted a love that existed in one world, a full-color, present tense, no hidden drawers kind of love. I took the parking sticker and walked to my balcony. The rain had stopped, leaving the city washed clean, smelling of sage and wet asphalt. I let the sticker flutter from my fingers, down 2 stories into the bristling green of a juniper bush. It was gone. That's when I felt it. Not happiness, not yet, but a solid, steady peace. The peace of a closed door. The peace of no more wondering, no more waiting for a promise that was never mine to hear. The story of Leo and me wasn't a tragedy. It was a season. It was California sunshine and shared Uber rides and a deep, real affection that, for a while, was enough. But seasons change. You can love the warmth of summer, but you don't curse the fall for coming. You just learn to wear a different coat. I was the present. And you know what? The present is a real, valid place to be. It's where you live. It's where you laugh and you hurt and you grow. I wasn't a placeholder. I was a whole person, having a whole experience. He just wasn't coming with me into the next chapter. Sometimes the most painful truth isn't a betrayal. It's the quiet realization that you were building a home on someone else's rented land. So you gather your blueprints, your memories, your strength, and you find a new plot of earth, your own, and you start again.